No, I just got done telling the team in a team meeting about the importance of being on time. So I can't be a hypocrite and not do it myself. I really appreciate everyone coming back out. Again, for those of you that participated in the birdies with Beamer, is that what birdies with Beamer? I thought I started to say birdies with Beamer last week. We appreciate it. Hope everybody had a good time. Thanks for those of you that came out to that, and excited to get going as well. Before I go any further, too, I should have said this last week, but I tweeted something earlier, but asked that Gamecock Nation please continue to keep the Petty family in their prayers. Over the loss of great Gamecock and Phil, and someone that was has been very good to me, and certainly loves Carolina, and somebody that I've had multiple conversations with over the last year that did so much for this program and the turnaround they had when he was quarterbacking this football team. And he has a beautiful family, and that family's hurting right now. His amazing wife, Morgan, and two awesome children, and Sage and McCoy, who I got a chance to see this week. So we will continue to do that as a football program, and they are family here in Gamecock Nation, and ask that everyone please continue to wrap their arms around that family and help them during this really, really, really tough time as well. McCoy, his son, is an awesome young man and may know more about what's going on in this football program than I do from talking to him the other day. So excited to get those guys around our program more and more too as we go forward. Also, a couple injury things. Kai Kroger is going to be out here for the short term. Got a foot injury that took place last week while he was punting, getting ready for the football season. Nothing long term. We are optimistic that he will be back for game one. He's on the road to recovery right now and is in great spirits, obviously. So certainly nothing long term, and hopefully he'll be back for game one as well. So wish him a speedy recovery. Everybody else on our team injury-wise is full speed and good to go. Got a couple guys that we just got to watch here at the beginning of practice here this week. Make sure they're not doing too much early on as we get back into the swing of things. But Clint Haggard and his staff have done a great job in the training room getting our players ready. And then Luke Day and his staff have done an amazing job in the weight room with our players this summer as well. We talked to our guys back in June when we came back for summer school that the great football teams, they make progress in the summertime. They separate themselves from their competitors with what they do in the summertime, and that they can get better as a football team in the summertime, and really truly feel like our guys did. And that's a credit to our players and the way they worked, but also Luke and his staff as well. Excited about the work they put in, and I can't wait to get started on the practice field tomorrow morning with practice number 1. So with that, y'all got it.
Who do you look at to take that spot in the meantime, or is it a selection of candidates?
No, it's a selection of candidates. Pretty much every healthy kicker we have has got the ability to punt a little bit as well. So if you name anyone on our team that's listed as a kicker, he's got the ability to do a little bit of punting too, and then anybody that's on our roster listed as a punter. So it's nobody that we just sit here right now, David, and say, okay, he's the punter and let's go. It's kind of going to be by committee throughout the preseason, and let's see who separates themselves. I mean, Mitch Jeter and Alex Herrera can both do it. They're in a field goal kicking competition as well, so we want to be respectful of that and cognizant of that, and make sure that we're giving both those guys the opportunity to be the very best place kicker they can be also in this competition.
Shane, as far as the offense is concerned, obviously offensive coordinators coming back, so many new faces in the backfield, but you have a lot of familiar faces up front. How do you see this offense so far, the growth in comparison to the spring, and just being able to pick things up? Because no disrespect to Georgia State, but from an SEC standpoint, two good teams early on in the year, and competition is going to be high.
Yeah, no question, and a really talented Georgia State defense in game one that returns a ton of starters and a bunch of juniors and seniors also, I know. I think the biggest thing is just the continuity year two in the system. As coaches, we've had the whole off season to kind of tweak and figure out things that we need to be maybe do a little bit differently schematically, things that we need to do differently, whatever it may be. Spent a lot of time studying that, and certainly when it's year 2 in a system, it's just going to be that much more efficient, you would hope. And that's what we've seen from the springtime through the summer workouts that our players have been able to do, with what we've been able to do with them as a coaching staff within the rules this summer on the field. Also, we're so much farther along than where we were, because there's just so much retention, and then also trying to do a good job of what are we good at schematically, and then let's rep the heck out of that as well, so it just becomes second nature for our guys. So I would hope tomorrow morning it doesn't look like a typical day 1 practice where it's sloppy and a bunch of mistakes, because we're pretty far along compared to last year because of those reasons.
Shane, just real quickly on Rick Sandage, is he going to be around the program in any official capacity, or is he?
Yeah.
I guess what's that going to look like?
Rick is certainly. We've talked about some different roles for him. He was, we just had a meeting to kind of, from an organizational standpoint, to get started. He was in that, sitting in his normal seat as a player. He's talked to me about some things that he wants to be involved with program-wise this fall, to be able to continue to contribute. And it's like I told Rick, you may not be playing on Saturdays, but you're still a member of this team and a valuable part of this football family.
And then real quickly, I think it was at Media Days, Will Levis was talking about Spencer, and they hung out at Manning Passing Academy and said he's kind of misunderstood and he didn't really understand why that was. I guess the question to you would be, why do you feel like that is, maybe that Spencer is maybe misunderstood in the grander scheme? And I guess just how, have you guys kind of seen him attack and be here in the last, 3
The only thing I can gather is way too many people watched, what was the net, QB1, is that what it was? Way too many people watched that. I still haven't to this day. But, some people may say that portrayed him in a positive light. Well, if I had a documentary on me at the age of 17, I would not be pleased with what was in it, I'm sure, in that situation. So all I know is the Spencer that I was around for 2 years at Oklahoma, and the Spencer on and off the field, and the Spencer that I've seen in his time here as well. So if you take a documentary when he was 16, 17 years old, and then last season, I think it's easy for some people to say that he handled that situation poorly, but I have a hard time finding one instance where he handled the situation in a bad way that affected that football team last year after he lost his starting job. So I think it's easy for people to kind of assume that and have a perception, but perception, as you guys know, is not always reality, and it's not what I've seen and know.
Shane, at which point during training camp does it shift from installing the offense, installing the defense, to really kind of divvying up reps and kind of saying this guy's going to help us and we're going to start tailoring the offense to preparing for?
Yeah, no, good question. It's kind of I don't know if there's necessarily one set day. The way that we have depth this year, which is a good thing. So we'll be able, like tomorrow morning, to when we get into some of our team periods and 7-on-7 periods, we'll have 2 different fields going. So everybody will be getting tons of reps. We'll have a group of players on one field, and we'll have a group of players on the other field, and everybody's going at one time, running the same plays, and you're able to bring some of these younger guys along quicker as well. So we'll be able to do that for these first 2 weeks of practice, really. Typically, Colin, for me, you kind of have an idea as you go, but once you get through that second scrimmage, which is the second 2 weeks before the first game, once you get through that, to me, it's kind of like, okay, we have an idea of what people's roles are, and we're full speed ahead on not all the way in on Georgia State, because at that point you're still 2 weeks away, but you have a better idea after those first couple weeks. And we have an idea now because we've been with them all summer, but it's different, obviously, with what they've been doing in the weight room for the last 2 months and in walkthroughs, and then all of a sudden you go out there tomorrow and you put on a helmet and you're practicing for an actual SEC football practice, and that's different. Some people elevate their games at that point, and eager to see who does that tomorrow too.
You've got a pretty unique thing here this year with 5 starters coming back on the offensive line. What kind of growth have you seen from that group through the spring and the summer heading into the camp now?
Yeah, it's been a lot of growth. That's a great weapon for us coming back, having those guys returning. They're older guys that have played a lot of snaps, and when you have that continuity on the offensive line, it should pay dividends because that's the one position. All 5 of those guys got to be working together and in sync with everything, because one guy taking a bad step can screw it up for everyone. And those are guys that have played a lot of football together. They've spent a lot of time off the field together. They're older guys. They're leaders. You know, I use Javon Gwynn for an example. We keep track of everything that our players do. So we just got done talking to the team about it. You know, this summer we keep track of their accountability off the field. Are they in the building on time every day? Are they academic stuff? Are they weighing in with Kristen and nutrition like they're supposed to? And then on the field, are you making all of your runs? When we're out there and we're timing our guys and we're competing, do you do everything you're supposed to? We try and make some of those conditioning runs in the summertime as game-like as possible to see how guys can handle pressure and being able to think on the run. So it's very, very, very hard to do, to go through an entire summer and not have a single strike on anything. And Javon Gwynn did it this summer. I mean, it's amazing. To be a lineman, for one, because it's not always for those guys easy to run and make times. Like if you can have the perfect summer, Javon Gwynn just had the perfect summer. And now we need, along with some other guys on our team, but now we need him to continue to come along as well, because what they've done from the time they came back in January until now is they've been great leaders for this team, and they're a hungry, driven group ready to prove themselves this fall.
Let's go back right. Scotty?
Shane, on day 1 of year 2, how different of a head coach are you? Did you realize I've got to delegate more, delegate less? How different are you day 1 of year 2?
Probably not a lot, to be honest with you. Certainly learned things. There were things like, as I stood up here last year and did this thing, I'm thinking about, okay, when we go out to play Eastern Illinois in game 1, how exactly do I want pregame warm-up to be organized, and does everybody know what to do and things like that? So you're farther along from that standpoint. Delegating-wise, I'm probably a little bit better about that. I mean, I still have my hand in everything, but I know the people that work with me better than I did now. So Marcus Satterfield, Clayton White, Pete Limbo, to Luke in the weight room, Clint in the training room, Larry in the equipment room, Kristen in nutrition, Demo with character development, Kim Fields at work that basically is in charge of me, knowing me better and me knowing her. So there's just so many things like that I have a better feel about. And then also, with it being year 2, I can look back and some of the mistakes that I made in games and things like that, just being able to learn from that, decisions I made and whatnot. But you're always learning. You're never comfortable, but certainly there's a better handle on things as far as knowing what to expect.
Jeremiah, is that you?
Yes, sir. Jeremiah Holloway, new at the state. I wanted to get back to the offense for a second. Of course, there are a lot of new faces with the transfers. So with them specifically, how do you feel like they've been gelling? How do you feel like they've been, acclimated to, the offensive schemes? How do you feel like they're mixing in with the team so far?
Yeah, transfers, you said?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Welcome, by the way, Jeremiah. They've done well. They really have. Most of them were here in January. Austin Stogner and Nate Adkins, they got here in June, I guess. But for the most part, everybody's been here. But they've done a good job. Credit our current players, one, for embracing them and welcoming them and helping them to get acclimated. And then also credit to the guys that just came in as far as, earning their way and kind of learning their way through this program and how we do things as well. So, it feels like Spencer's been here for a long time. It feels like Devontae Reed's been here for a long time. And now I think the springtime for them was getting acclimated. Summertime with all those guys, particularly the older ones, you saw, a difference in their confidence and leadership abilities. And now the next, 4 weeks or so until we play here in preseason camp is a critical time to really, continue to develop that leadership and become even more of a presence and impactful person and player on this team.
Hill.
Aside from the guys who are competing at place kicker, what will the rest of the field goal operation look like to start out with Kai obviously not being there to hold for however long? Yeah,
that's one of those things. I don't want to say open tryouts necessarily on the team, but we got to figure out, who else can do different things, and that's regardless of Kai's situation. But, we've got 20 players on our team, but when we go play Arkansas, we're only allowed to take 70. You know, I mean, that's the SEC rule. So when you start talking about your travel squad guys and all that, the more that people can do, the better. So being able to find guys, other guys that can snap and hold and whatnot as well. So there are other guys that'll certainly be working in there. Those specialists spend a lot of time together with Coach Limbo for sure, working all that. And, you know, as far as specifics and people like that, you know, Pete just walked in, so when y'all meet with him, he can dive into the specifics of the holder position, if you will. We've been preparing for contingencies as well.
Richard.
You're good.
Okay. During August, we usually hear about one or two, you know, we're talking about guys that elevate their game during August.
Yeah.
We usually hear about one or two walk-ons that do that, and they kind of get a little bit of buzz. What's your philosophy as far as how many walk-ons you like to have on the squad, how you like to deploy them, any differences, things like that?
Yeah. Well, we can have 85 guys on scholarship, so then whatever our university tells me I'm allowed to have on the current roster, the rest of that will be made up as walk-ons. And you know, so my math's not very good. It's at 30, 35 roughly. So we've got 35. To me, with us in our program, like, we actively try and bring those guys in. Like, you don't just, it's a right you earn to be invited to be a member of this team, but then also to remain a member of this team. You have to constantly earn that. Nothing's given. So I love it, having those guys around. And I want to utilize them in as many ways like as we can. It's not like we go into, if you walked into our locker room, it wouldn't be, okay, here's the scholarship guys over here and here's the walk-on guys over there. When we go into a team meeting, it's not, okay, walk-ons, you sit over here, everybody else right here in the middle. You know, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. A walk-on is treated exactly like a scholarship player. The only difference is he's not getting his tuition, you know, paid for. But in regards to who can produce and who we can count on to help us win football games, I don't care if you're a walk-on, scholarship, whatever. We're going to play you. And we talk about, you know, competition. You see it hanging up over there and all throughout our facility. We talk about competition all the time, and I just can't say that and not be about it. If there's a walk-on that's performing better than a scholarship guy, then that walk-on's going to play and be out there. And then any opportunity we have to reward a walk-on by putting them on scholarship, we did that some last year, and hopefully can do that this year as well.
Pete.
Shane, how much, you talked about how in the spring you guys improved, during the summer you guys have improved. How much did the way you finished up with those games in November and the bowl game kind of fuel their drive to really want to take another step forward?
Yeah, very much so. I would hope so. Like, anytime you win that last game, it just gives you momentum and energy and excitement going into January. And that's for the fan base, but that's also for the people within the program as well. And there's no question the way we finished last season gave our fan base and us great energy and excitement going in to the season. And there was a quick turnaround between that Mayo Bowl and when classes started here in January. Our guys weren't gone long, so they were right back at it, and we just kept that momentum going. But the cool thing was, it was momentum coming back, excited about the way we finished, but also momentum about we can be even better, and let's do everything that we can to be better than 7-6 also. And you know, we finished strong, and we were talking about it as a staff this morning. I mean, if you just we got better as the year went on last year, and that'll be critical this year to continue to get better. And you know, with coaching, playing, everything.
Phil.
You did that video before SEC Media Days. It had over 2 million views, and your social media folks have been very active in the offseason, pumping up the program. I think the fan base is foaming at the mouth this season. Is that a dangerous place to be as far as you're concerned, or is that maybe more of a sign of confidence about this team that you internally kind of know what you're going to be putting on the field?
Yeah, no, I think it's I would rather have that than none of our fans giving a crap that we're playing in 4 weeks, or not excited, and not being trending on Twitter and have millions of views and all that. I mean, I'd rather have that than the alternative for sure. But it's also critical to understand and we talked about this morning too as a staff, and I'll talk about it with the team tonight, understanding that the reason that all this is taking place is because of all the work that went into last year as well, along with what we've done up until this point as well. Like, it's been a grind, and there's a lot of work that has taken place by the individuals in this program to get to that point as well. So, there's a lot that you can look back at from last season, Phil, that we got to do a whole lot better. And there's a lot. Now, we did some really good things last year, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot to improve on, and that has been made clear and will continue to get made clear to our players and staff as well. Like, I'm happy with where we are right now, but nobody's walking around saying, hey, man, we got picked 5th in the SEC East, fellas. Freaking go. All right? Or, hey, guys, there's nobody on our team made first team All-SEC. Like, there's plenty of bulletin board and motivation that I can use as well, because we're not where we need to be right now, but we're certainly on our way.
John Whittle.
Especially given what you guys went through last year, how beneficial is it to the offense to have some stability at quarterback going through the spring, going through the summer, and entering preseason camp?
Yeah, I think the stability, but then also just the depth in that room also. You guys know this. Last year when I stood up here, I think our quarterback room, was Luke, Jason Brown, Colton, and who am I missing? And Helfrich. Yeah, that was kind of it. We didn't have many quarterbacks last year. I'm sure I forgot somebody right there. Luke, Jason Brown, Connor Jordan. Yep, exactly. And then Zeb was up there putting together like cut-ups for the meeting and stuff, so he wasn't even a thought at this point. So just to have depth this year now is just so different, that you've got one Spencer who's played a lot of football and is an older guy has stayed healthy since he got here. You got Luke, who now has started football games as a quarterback in 2 different seasons and as a year older. You've got Helfrich back. You've got Colton's a year older. We've brought in 3 freshmen really now, counting Jalen. So you got 3 new freshmen as well. So just to have that added depth and competition is a huge benefit for sure, especially compared to last year.
Eric and Gene.
Yeah, Shane, what is the ceiling right now, or how close is Zach Pickens to his ceiling as far as a college player, and just how huge was it that he decided to come back and play another year?
No, I think he's very close. Zach's another one that's had a really good summer. Like our older guys like Zach Pickens, guys like Javon Gwynn, they didn't come back and just coast. They've come back and worked and gotten better through spring practice and now the summer as well. So Zach can be as good as he wants to be, and I think he's excited. I know he's excited for this upcoming season. He's really worked hard, and he makes our program better each and every day. Not only when he walks on that field, but when he walks in this building, the impact that he has on the people in our program. And then him coming back was huge. I think I said it before, going into that bowl game, wasn't really sure. I felt like it could have gone either way. It was probably trending in the opposite direction than what it ended up being, but it was huge. It was huge for Zach because he felt like he needed it as a player to continue to progress and develop and reach his ceiling like you're talking about. But then it was just a great statement about our program that he came back, that he could be making a lot of money right now in an NFL training camp, but he really enjoys being a part of this program and liked what we were doing and wanted to continue to be a part of it.
Gino.
Shane, you guys still use the Guardian caps in practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use them in high school, NFL, college practices. If it's such a great idea for brain health, for practice, why not use them in games?
I don't know. I guess you got to talk to the Guardian cap people about putting a logo on the side of them, so there can be a Gamecock logo. That's where I would start. They're all pretty vanilla and general. So we, I saw, is it the NFL? I think they're doing it for every position right now. I think I read and I saw where there was an NFL coach that was actually complaining about that because he felt like it created bad habits as well, because you could get used to using your head a little bit more. And I haven't gotten into all that. That's probably a better question for Clint Haggard. But we use them for certain positions for sure, the ones that are having more, head-to-head contact, and you try and keep your head out of it and teach that, don't get me wrong, but the offensive lineman and defensive lineman, frankly, are banging more than a receiver and a defensive back are. So certain positions, utilize it, but you maybe maybe onto something, Gene, but that's the first thing I can think of. It's, maybe headed that direction.
Michael and Anna?
Maybe a good business venture for you as you continue to as well.
Shane, obviously the complexion of the running back room has changed with Kevin Harris and Z White moving on. Brought in some transfers too. Just what do you make of that room as it stands now, and what have you seen specifically out of Marshawn Lloyd? Another year removed from that surgery.
Yeah, no, it's I really like that group. I'm eager to see how that room shakes out from a competition standpoint, because there's a lot of unique skill sets in that room. And with Marshawn coming back, to answer your question with him, he's been great. He's another one that's had a great summer. He's on a mission and has really stepped up his game this summer. And Marshawn's always been all business, but he realizes it's his time. And to bring in Christian, and he's an older guy that's played a lot of football, and the leadership and the maturity that he brings, to that group. And that's the thing I say, not that it wasn't last year, but, Juju was a true freshman, and I love Zaquandre White, but Zaquandre, and that's and I miss him, don't get me wrong, but it's a different kind of vibe in that room. And not that they weren't all business, but when you guys got guys like Marshawn and CBS, and then you add Juju, to that. But then also other guys that we're excited about, Dante, who we brought in from Columbia. I'm excited to see him. I think he's got a chance to help us. And, Lavassier coming in from Georgia and being able to take the next step. So it's a bunch of guys in there that's going to be great competition for sure. Not just at that running back position, but then who can do other things to help us, that we want to flex out wide and do different things with in the offense. But that's a fun group, and there'll be some great competition in that room here in preseason camp.
Let's go back left.
Coach Beamer, Mitchell Summers with Fox Carolina. Spencer is a guy whose name has been associated with the Heisman in the past. I'm wondering, with that guy at quarterback, just what level to which can he take this offense?
I would hope extremely high. Spencer's proven that he can win championships. He won. The last time I checked, he's undefeated, or 15. He's won his last 15 games as a starting quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, and has a Big 12 championship to his name, and was quarterback in a top 5 team last year that was undefeated when he got benched. So he's shown what he can do, and he brings great leadership and talent to the position. But it's not on all Spencer. It's on everybody around Spencer to elevate this offense. Coaches, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends, offensive line, all of us. And, certainly Spencer has done some great things, and he'll be the first to tell you he's got a lot to improve on. But we're headed in the right direction, not just with him, but with everybody around him also.
Hill?
From the last 2 months of recruiting, last weekend in particular, how do you feel like you guys are set up moving forward with that class, and what do you feel like you were able to accomplish the last 2 months?
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for reminding me. I knew I was forgetting something like in my opening comments. Recruiting. Had a heck of a weekend last weekend for sure, and great day for Gamecock football. Great couple days over the weekend. Had an awesome cookout with some amazing players, and I know y'all probably feel like I sound like a broken record because sometimes I talk about the amount of talent that's here for this home game or amount of talent that was here for this junior day, but when I say we had an amazing amount of talent last Friday night that was here for the cookout, we had an amazing amount of talent that was here for that cookout last Friday. So that was fantastic and great momentum. It's been a good summer. Hopefully we'll get some good news here as we continue to finish up this week as well and go into it. And like where we are right now, guys have worked hard and we're in a good position. We got a long time until signing day, but certainly we're full speed ahead on those guys that we're recruiting, and it's been pretty cool too because those guys that are committed to us, they've really connected and developed a pretty cool bond with each other throughout this process. And you guys see on social media, I mean, we got one in particular he may be our best recruiter, a couple of them that may be our best recruiter, coaches included, that's doing some great stuff. So they believe in this place like I do, and it's been fun seeing them interact.
Take 2 more, Mike, then Pete.
Shane, on the outside, a lot of people will look at the 7-6 mark, and that's how they'll judge this team. But going back in year one, what made last year successful in terms of trying to be able to build that foundation? What do you credit?
Good question. I would say a couple things. we really did become really close-knit, and that'll be key this year as well. That was a close team. You know, if you watch the Mayo Bowl and that post-game interview that I did on the field after the game, I made a comment about the team meeting that we had the night before, and it was one of the most emotional team meetings I've been a part of. That was true. I mean, that was a group that really, truly cared about each other and loved one another and played for one another. So I credit that. And then I just credit the competitive spirit and resiliency of the team that we had last year, that we had some ugly first quarters, don't get me wrong, on the road in a couple games last season, but when you watched us play, never once could you say, well, that team didn't battle to the end and compete their butts off. And I would say that you know, whether it was down 14-0 against East Carolina and nobody flinched and we came back and won, or whether it was we had a bad first quarter or first half against Texas A&M, but you know, guys continued to compete in the second half, or Tennessee when we battled back like we did. That was a resilient, competitive group, which I would hope would continue to be the case this year. So those two things stand out, you know, to me. And there's a lot of things that you look back, things we did well that contributed to it, but taking like so much the specific X's and O's out of it, those are two big things that'll be critical for us this year also.
Last one to Pete.
Shane, I was going to say, you're always crediting nutrition, wellness, you know, your staff there. What's it like being at the top of a pyramid that unfolds like a Fortune 500 company these days, and probably not what you were used to watching your dad growing up?
No, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it was challenging, you know, because there's 120 players in this program, and then there's all these different departments as well, and they all do a fantastic job, but each of those leaders of those departments, they have issues that they're dealing with as well, and things that they want in their specific areas also. And you know, I mean, I feel like today in some ways has been kind of like a revolving door in my office, because every time somebody walks out, it's you got a couple minutes and somebody else comes in, and then they leave and you got a couple minutes and all that as well. But that's part of it when you're in this chair, you know, for sure. And you know, I would say the biggest thing for me is, you're right, there's just so many different things that you're dealing with that were different from when, you know, even just 7 years ago when my dad was coaching, you know, that are much different now. It is like it's like a CEO of a company in so many ways. And, you know, like I tell our coaches and players, ultimately every single day, my job is to continue to do what's best for the University of South Carolina football program. And, you know, not everybody's going to like my decisions and what I say, people in this building, people outside this building and all that, but I'm always trying to make educated decisions on what's best for our program at that particular moment. And we got some great people that, you know, I hope love working here and love the job they do, and they're super talented in their roles. And I feel like my job is just to continue to empower them to be the very best, you know, they can be, also understanding that at the end of the day, it's about the team and doing what's best for us.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
See